Hello, I'm Pam of Healing Stars. This is the chart. It's for the full moon on the 14th of November, set for London. What is interesting is we have Neptune rising in the chart. Neptune is on the left there. Neptune is currently moving through the sign of Pisces. And it's interesting, in the colour wheel, that's the colour of magenta. Magenta is the 8th chakra. This is something that most of us don't really have a connection to, but I do believe that this election in the US really has connected us to something much, much bigger than us as an individual. The reason is that Neptune has been travelling with the South Node to do with the past for months, and Neptune is at 9 degrees of Pisces. Now, this was the very same degree at the eclipse, the solar eclipse on September the 1st. And because Neptune's so slow, it holds a degree for a very months on end. The South Node is moving slightly faster, so it's no longer at 9 degrees. But the effect is the same. Chiron is also in Pisces, and Chiron has a 50-year orbit, which is also 100 years. And if you think back 100 years, that was of course the time of the First World War. It was 1916. And sure enough, Chiron was in Pisces then. This is a wound, a deep soul wound, that those who are born in the 60s, and you may be one of those, you will have Chiron in the sign of Pisces. Now, Pisces is a energy which is very, very sensitive, extremely so. And that soul group, the 60s group, have seen revolution, they've seen huge change. The hippie movement was alive and well in the 60s, but also the Vietnam War. I am old enough to remember the 60s. It said if you remember it, you didn't live through it. And that's a slightly humorous take on something that is really affecting so many people now, is the feeling of grief. What's happened in the US is very similar to what happened in the UK after Brexit, and the astrology was very similar as well. The moon changed sign on the day of the US election from Aquarius into Pisces. And Aquarius is all about revolution, equality, brotherhood, sisterhood, but it's also a real vote against the establishment. Mars has only just moved into Aquarius. It did it right at the end of that fateful day. And at this full moon, this is when emotions always come to the surface, we do have Chiron in a very good configuration with both the sun and moon. So if you look, here's Chiron at 20 of Pisces. It is retrograde. All planets apart from the sun and moon go retrograde. It's a regular occurrence. So here it is at 20 degrees of Pisces. The sun is at 22 Scorpio, the moon 22 Taurus. My first reaction when I heard that Donald Trump had become president-elect was anger. Were not very good feelings, basically. I wanted the man dead. And then, of course, through the day, as I read more and more people's reports, and also in my meditation, I recognised that if I raise my vibration to a high level, and I match to his vibration of his heart, his spirit, to the same level, and join in that place, then I'm no longer caught in the undertow of anger, hatred and fear. And that to me is an incredibly powerful lesson. Not personally, but of course for each and every one of us who may be at the moment feeling these incredibly deep, deep emotions. There's a process through grief that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross identified, and the first emotion is that of anger, and of course that has been witnessed in the States. Then there's a sense of fighting against it, and that's also been witnessed where they think, oh, the Electoral College can vote against it, etc. Denial. And finally we come to an acceptance. And we look dispassionately at what's been going on. And in many ways what Trump has done is expose many of the things that we most probably don't want to look at, as that he's a shadow figure for many of us, but of course for some he's a saviour. And he is just one man. I'm heartened by the fact that the symbol for the US is the eagle. Now the eagle is one of 3 symbols for Scorpio. Scorpio has the scorpion, which of course has the sting in the tail. Then it has the eagle, and the eagle has vision. And finally it is the phoenix or the dove. It's the only sign with 3 symbols. And I would like to encourage each and every one of us to raise our vibration to that of the eagle, and then of course to the dove. This might not be simple or easy, but also the other important factor is to notice how Mars in Aquarius is fighting for equality, and it's a 6-week transit. Mars at this full moon is exactly at the same degree as Mercury, and Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. Pluto is the more, well, it's not that long ago, but it's 1930 that Pluto sort of came into our awareness, our consciousness. But Mercury and Mars in a good combination can fight for truth, can fight for justice, equality and peace. And that to me is what is being asked of all of us at this time. There are enough people, I believe, who have good hearts and strong minds and are following some sort of spiritual path. I hope that you are one of those as you listen to me today and watch this little video, because I believe that it's really important that we do connect as one and not, as I said, be caught in the negative undertow. If you think of Neptune, god of the sea, that's what it can describe. Despair, depression, disillusion, all of those things. The moon in Taurus is exalted. The moon represents in mundane astrology the people, the public. So I welcome people protesting peacefully, absolutely, because something has to be done, change has to come, and it can come when people unite with a common voice, a common cause, but come from a place of love. Venus, the planet to do with love, has just joined the moon in the heart chakra, and I never expected this election to turn out as it has. But I do recognise that the heart has been broken, and many heartbreaks that are coming up at this time for each and every one of us. They're not something new. The election isn't a first time thing that we've had our heart broken. I work very much coaching people through their heartbreaks. I've suffered many myself and have healed many, many of those. I do believe it's a time for love, and it's a time for compassion, which is also what Neptune represents. Compassion, and in the words of Caroline Myss, who I greatly admire her work, she talks about the second chakra, and she says to honour one another. To me that is an incredibly powerful statement, and I invite each and every one of us to do that now at this full moon. Thank you for watching. I'm Pam Carruthers of HealingStars.com.